person that way.
You used to it that way. Okay. Thank you for that.
These
I
days, that's what
needed
is happening.
that. Thank you. And he was not here when we spoke, so he just tell the truth as it is. Thank you. Welcome back, Advocate Bauer.
If I can just ask for the page to be put back onto the screen so that it would assist Mr. Mataboge and my understanding as well. So if I understand what you were saying to me is that Advocate Muntwedi Shabalala takes over the file on the 15th of September 2021 and she details whatever is provided to her on that day as a new file. Would that be correct?
That is correct, Advocate Bauer.
And so if we just...
Even the documents that she lists there, she lists them afresh, and those documents ought to be in the file, in the old investigation diary compiled by Ms. Mviana.
Okay. If we see, just to be a bit helpful, and we go down, we will see on item number no, if you look at pages 16 to 22, it says memorandum to the CFO regarding the request for Ms. Mvuyana to act as senior investigator dated 13th November 2018. So she was appointed very shortly after the complaint came in, correct?
Where are you? I'm lost.
Maybe the second item from the top that you can see. If you look at the page numbers as it's identified, there we go. It's been colored in for you.
Yes, but this one is an old memo that is for 2018. I wonder why was it here, because it was 2021 that this investigation diary was compiled by Ms. Chabalala Mugwedi.
Now, but if you look, sorry, Mr. Mataboge, just if Shepa goes right up to the top, she takes over this file because there's still components of this investigation pending. So in the first line, she says, she changes the reference number on top, and she says, receive new file with the following. So she details it from the complaint that emanated on the 8th of November 2018, and she goes down. Do you see that?
Yes.
So this was,
I see that, yes.
This would have been the document that was with Ms. Mvuyana. I'm hoping you can confirm this, but I'll ask Ms. Mvuyana when she comes. That's then taken over by the investigator. And if you go to the second page, the one just after this, you see there's a whole lot of correspondence that we know is involved. She says on the 9th of September, in light of the PP's directive, kindly receive the reallocated file from Ms. Mvuyana for further investigation during her maternity leave.
That is my recording. That is my notes there. It's my instruction to Ms. Mutwe Chabalala.
And right, and then it says, if you look at the next entry, you would see it says the matter is reallocated to you, and number 2 says liaise with Mr. Mataboge and Nomfundo to give you other evidence responses related to this matter. You must follow up with the information from SARS as per the subpoena signed by the CEO. Mr. Kiswet is yes to respond. Please make follow-ups. And then this is a subsequent investigation. I don't want to go into details. This is not the ones we're talking about, right? But this is the investigation that gets allocated. Now, if we go one page further up to 3182, we see that's a continuation of the listing of the documentation that she had received from Ms. Mvuyana. Would that be, if you go down?
Yeah, this is what seemed to be the case for Ms. Muntweri Shabalala, was that jotting or recording all the documents that she found in the file.
Right. So if we and if you go down to the handwritten notes, there's a file presented to Mr. Lamini. Mr. Lamini is probably doing file inspections. Would that be correct?
That would be correct, I believe, not with Bauer.
Right. So when somebody does a file inspection, they would do a handwritten annotation. Right?
Yes, even the ones that were typed in, when we deal with them daily with handwritten notes. You don't need to type them particularly.
Now you would expect 110 pages in this investigative file, pages 105 and 106 being the investigation plan dated 11th November 2018. That would be a fair assumption to make, correct?
I'm not sure about the numbering that Ms. Muntweri Shabalala put here, where she gets it from, because I'll have to check, because is that the indexing that comes from her, or is that the number of pages that were in the file? I'm not sure.
Okay, so if you go to the first page, it seems as if to be numbered from number 1, and it goes to the bottom at number 51. I'm at 3183. So it doesn't seem anything more than counting the pages of what there is starting at number 1. Whose initials would that be in the last column?
Ms. Muntweri Shabalala.
So she's confirming that that's what she's received.
Yes.
Right. And she goes down to the bottom at 51. And then if we go back up to the other page, it starts at 52 to 59, and it comes down to 106. The point I'm trying to make without belaboring it is when this file is provided to me in 2022, despite it having been intact for Ms. Shabalala, Ms. Muntweri Shabalala to have indexed it, by the time it comes to me in 2022, there are significant documents not provided. What would an explanation for that be? Because we're now way past the Rule 53 record.
This is the file that is in my view, from which the volume 2 investigation was to come. This is not the one that was finalized. This is the document the file that is still needs to be finalized, as I explained earlier.
The file still to be finalized?
Yes, it's not finalized, this one.
No.
Because you remember there were issues that were deferred to volume 2. The other ones were closed along with the EMIA that was reviewed, the EMIA investigation.
I'm aware of that. I think, sorry, Mr. Mataboge, I think I phrased the question badly. Here's my point. On the 15th of September 2021, Ms. Muntweri Shabalala takes over the file from Ms. Mvuyana. She signs and she receives all these documentation that's there, based on what is provided for on the page of the investigative diary. This file is then, we ask for the investigative diary. It is then removed from your office, and the file that is provided to us is 45 pages with a number of documentation removed, including, most importantly, the investigation plan dated 11th November 2018. Now, how does one explain that? Because I'm putting to you that if we look at the date when Ms. Advocate Montwedi Shabalala puts it together, we are way past Rule 53 records in the SARS unit litigation, that can't explain why such a file would now be in tatters.
When you still mention the Rule 53, that's where you also confuse me because, like I said, Arvid Bauer, this is the current file. However, in trying to further clarify, I wouldn't know because you say it was removed from my office, but it should have been removed from Ms. Montwedi and Ms. Mvuyana's office. And with all those documents, I believe, intact and inside, then I'll have to then say, we need to find out from either of the two, or even Ms. Mvuyana when she comes here next week. Because I thought all of those documents that are indexed, it should have been sent, should have been in the file that was sent to you.
Yeah, it was not. But the point I'm trying to make is there would have been file inspections done on this file, surely as well. I mean, they fall under in your division, don't they?
They do. That is why, if you look at the bottom, I was away on my wife's sick leave for a long time, family responsibility. If you look at the bottom, it's inspected by Mr. Dlamini, who was leading the team at the time.
Right. If we look at the pages at 3180, you see that the file is internally transferred from Ms. Motseneng, and on the 14th of March, it's then transferred from phase 2 to phase 3, and the team is allocated. And the matter is now back with Ms. Mvuyana.
I'll have to explain the phase 2, phase 3 process, because when in an attempt to deal with the backlog, this file was part of the backlog. Phases were formed within PPSA to deal. Phases would be a team under phase 1 that will assess the complaint, a team under phase 2 that will draft and check the evidence, a team under phase 3. So the files were taken that way, like this one, given to different phases which comprise of team members. So that is how it was then reallocated to phase 3 team.
Yes. Okay. And then you see 15th May, it says team busy with drafting. And then it says 10th June, what's DN, discharge? What is DN?
The discretionary notice says a notice that is issued in terms of section 41 in brackets 1 of the rules of the PPSA.
Right, and it says sent to CI and EM. CI would be?
CI at the time wouldn't have been me, because I was on my wife's sick leave. It would have been maybe Mr. Dlamini, and EM would have been Mr. Mohaladi. Right. If she was the one who was the EM.
Right. And then you see the entry, next entry says 7th July 2022, discretionary notice returned by CI with comments and inputs to incorporate and send back. Was there an acting CI whilst you were away, or would you have taken some time to look at it nonetheless?
No, there was an acting CI. That's why I was saying Mr. Dlamini and the late Mr. Moposa were acting on my behalf at the time.
Okay. So when this is provided to me at the end of June, it is conceivable that because the discretionary notice was the CI, that's why it was in your office.
It wouldn't have been in